Hey YouTube, James Sain here. So a quick video on if you're trying to decide what focal length your lenses should be on your YouTube videos. Here's some information regarding that. We're going to look at the type of camera that you have, the type of lens, the focal length, how close the camera is to the subject, how much space do you have behind you, so that you can get some ideas. I'm going to do examples of shooting at 2.5 feet. I'm going to do some examples of shooting at 4 feet to give you an idea of what focal length will look like if this is a situation that you have. Let's get to the videos. Okay, so here we are on the Sigma Art 18-35, and this is shooting at 18 millimeters. You have a lot of space here. If you're doing product presentation, you have a lot of room to do that. As I said, the Sigma Art, it's pretty heavy, 28.5 ounces, 1.86 pounds, but you give that nice blurred background. All right, and so let's take a look. Oh, also, as we start looking at these lens range, so the Canon 80 is a crop sensor. So it has a magnification factor of 1.6. So this, if you're shooting on a full frame or if you come from a photography background, the 18 millimeter with a 1.6 crop sensor is effectively a 29 millimeter lens. So if you have a full frame sensor, this f/18 is what would a 29 or 30 millimeter lens would look like. Okay, let's move to the next setting. All right, so this is still the Sigma Art shooting at 24 millimeters. So I have moved up. You still have a lot of space, 3/4 shot here. So this is what it looks like at 4 feet. The same lens, Sigma Art f1.8, shooting at 1.8 to 18, and we're shooting at 28 millimeters. So the 28 millimeter lens would be the crop factor 1.6. This is like a 44.8 millimeter lens on a full frame. And finally here, the Sigma Art 18-35, this is shooting at 35 millimeters. So this is nice if you're just talking head, you just need a head and shoulder shot. This will work fine. It's the f1.8, this beautiful blurred background, really nice effect. Okay, so here we have the Canon 18-135 set. It's 4 feet away from me, and I'm recording at 18 millimeters. Remember, this is the Canon with the 1.6 crop sensor. So if you were on a full frame camera, this would be 29 millimeters at 4 feet. So plenty of room for most things that I think that you would be doing. Let's take a look at the next setting. And with the Canon 18-135, the drawback, the widest f-stop open is f3.5, so the background blur is not as nice as what it is on the Sigma Art at f1.8. Let's take a look at the next setting. Okay, so here's the Canon 18-135 shooting at 24 millimeters, 4 feet away. Full frame camera, this would be a 38 millimeter lens for you. By the way, the Canon 18-135 weighs 16.9 ounces, about 1.05 pounds. So it is kind of heavy. It's certainly something you wouldn't want to hold out in front of you for vlogging. It wouldn't cover that. Let's take a look at the next setting. Okay, so here's the Canon 18-135. There is not a 28 millimeter setting, so I'm guesstimating on that. So still 4 feet away from the camera. Now the f-stop is f4.0, and I'm having to bump up the ISO to keep the exposure the same. So that's one of the drawbacks here. So on the Canon 18-135, the fastest the lens can be, the f-stop of 3.5, and the lens gets even slower as you zoom in closer. Let's take a look at the next setting. Okay, and so the Canon 18-135 shooting at 35 millimeters, 4 feet away from me. So this, on a full frame camera, this would be a 56 millimeter lens. Not that they make one, but you can get an idea if you have a 50 millimeter lens. At 4 feet. So now this is f4.5. So that's the drawback of this particular lens, that you can't get the wide open effect. Now the distance behind me, the monitor behind me is about 3 feet. The wall back there is about 6 feet away from me. So if you can position yourself with distance between you and whatever's behind you, that will help with the background going out of focus. All right, let's take a look at the next lens. Okay, and so finally at 4 feet, we have the Canon 35 millimeter fixed focal length that opens up, has an f-stop maximum of f2.0. So a very nice blurred background, 35 millimeter Canon lens. fixed focal length, and so on a full frame sensor, this would be 56 millimeters. This Canon lens is the lightest of them all that I've gone through today. It's 11.9 ounces or 0.75 pounds. Okay, so here's the Sigma Art 18 to 35 at about 2.5 feet that I am away from the camera, and this is shooting at 18 millimeters. Again, I can shoot it at f1.8 to give that nice blurred background. Let's take a look at the next setting. Okay, so here we are now with the Sigma lens shooting at 24 millimeters at 2.5 feet. So this is certainly still doable. If you need to do product photography or product videography where you're showing something, this might be starting to get a little close. It just depends what the needs are and what you're shooting. Let's take a look at the next setting. All right, and so the Sigma lens is shooting at 28 millimeters at 2.5 feet. This is still certainly workable if you're just looking for a head and shoulder shot. This will do just fine. Let's take a look at the next. Okay, and so finally, here's the Sigma lens shooting at 35 millimeters at 2.5 feet. So if you're just looking just to be talking to the camera and not really demonstrating anything, this will certainly suffice. Let's take a look at the next lens. Okay, so now here we have the Canon 18 to 135 lens at 2.5 feet, but I'm having to shoot at f3.5, and I had to bump up the ISO from 100. I'm now at 640 on the ISO. So 18 millimeters at 2.5 feet, you can decide if this is a significant difference with the background shooting at 3.5 versus 1.8. It's a personal choice. Let's take a look at the next setting. All right, so this is the Canon 18 to 35 shooting at 24 millimeters. Still, this will work if you just need a head and shoulder shot. But the f-stop has gone up to f4.0. Let's take a look at the next setting. Okay, and so here we have the Canon 18 to 35 shooting at 35 millimeters at 2.5 feet. So 35 again translates into 56 millimeter for the full frame. I did have to bump up the ISO to 800, and I'm shooting at an f-stop of 4.5. That's as wide open as I can shoot. All right, let's go on to the next lens. So this is the Canon 35 millimeter fixed focal length shooting at f2.0 at 2.5 feet. So if you just need a headshot to talk about things, this will certainly work. If you only have 2.5 feet to set the camera away from you, you get that nice, beautiful, blurred background. Okay, so there you have it. I hope this helps in your decision-making process. If you're trying to decide what focal length lens to get based on what it is you're trying to achieve and how much room that you have to set up. Hopefully these examples will help lead to smart purchasing decisions, and I'll leave links in the description below about all the products that I used here. If you like what you see, please click the thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate that, and consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notifications so that you don't miss when the next video comes out. All right, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much.